Yeah, man. Thanks for hopping on. I'm excited to dive a little deeper with you.
Yeah,
For anyone watching, could you just give like a quick background on kind of like, what you've done, your story, stuff like that, and then we can dive in a little deeper.
sure. I'm Ignacio Carcavallo. I'm located in South Los Angeles, Redondo Beach. I'm originally from Argentina. I immigrated to the US 2 years ago. Before we were living with my fiance in Bali, Indonesia, until the pandemic hit. So that was a nice ride. And I've been an entrepreneur for more than 15 years. I was a trainee employee at Anheuser-Busch as my first job in the first 3 or 4 years of my career. Then I started this company called Clickon in Argentina that was the largest Groupon competitor in Argentina. And after 9 years, we bought all the local competitors, like the largest companies. So it was mostly Groupon as the big worldwide American company, and us, the local brand with almost 9 brands below us.
Wow.
And then we had a travel agency, a discount card. We had a discount aggregate software that you could check all the discounts online. And so yeah, we spun off like many smaller startups, but then we went back to the core, and we sold that company in 2019. And like 6 or 9 months before, I wanted to travel around the world to find inspiration to build a global project. And because we were very big in Argentina, we were selling $10 million a year. We had approximately 1 million users.
Wow.
We sold in total 2 million coupons in a 45 million population country. So that was a big experience. After 9 years, we employed 700 people in total, with a peak of 145 in the year that we bought some competitors. So it was a pretty big company for us. We were like, I don't know, I did that since I was 26 until 38 or 39, something like that. Sorry, 34, 35. So we were pretty young and also learning on the job with my partner, Leandro. And then when I went to travel around the world to find inspiration for a global project, because I wanted to have something that was global and that was focused on impact, we started Trivotion. That is a company that sells bracelets online. These kind of bracelets. These are made by Balinese women. They're handmade in, of course, Bali, Indonesia. And each time you buy a bracelet, you're planting between 2 to 20 trees in the most needed areas of the world. So it's like a driver to make people in the day-to-day plant trees and become more environmentally aware, apart from having a really good accessory and also helping Balinese women to have independence. And so that's been an interesting ride. We were hit by the pandemic really bad. We were on track of selling $1 million in the first year, and March 2020 hit. Pandemic, the whole world kind of shut down. So we lost 9% of the sales because nobody wanted to plant trees during the pandemic, and we lost a lot of awareness. So that's how I started investing in crypto and learning about DeFi, decentralized finance, and specifying in the Ethereum ecosystem. And yeah, we did well. We had a really good year, 2021. And then with this whole market crash this year, I took a pause and I started seeing, okay, what do you want to do now? At the beginning of the year, our green card got approved, so now we can do anything in the US. And I've been thinking a lot of time to see how I can help, because my why, this exercise to find your why is to help others and be part of something greater. And with Trivotion, I loved it because I think we were able to help people help. That's a concept that I really like, because you can only help so many people, right? There's a limit on the people that you can personally and directly help. So one of the things that I loved about Trivotion was that it's making people and reminding people to help, to make good. In your day-to-day, let's say it's a Tuesday morning, you're at work, you're browsing social media, and then you came I come across about with an environmental video about the Borneo forests that are being taken down and the whole ecosystem is dying because of the palm oil industry. And then you get to say, okay, I'm gonna help, and it's gonna be very easy because I can do it from my cell phone. And it creates a virtuous cycle, because as it's not a donation, you also get something in exchange. And I think that's more consistent with the consumerism and the capitalism world that we live in. So I think it's just more sustainable to sell something and to have something tangible in exchange. I think it's more scalable. So yeah, this past year, I have been developing this coaching practice. I've been studying how to become an ontological coach. I'm also studying how to become, I'm on the career of becoming a sleep, stress recovery, and stress management and recovery coach. And next year, I'm going to be learning about nutrition coach. And this comes because I've been part of EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, for the past 10 years. I co-founded the chapter in Argentina. It's a worldwide entrepreneurs community of 14,000 members around the world.
Wow.
We've been coaching and helping entrepreneurs in the past 10 years. So I had a lot of experience in coaching entrepreneurs, but now I've had this calling of really focusing on helping other entrepreneurs and executives full-time to amplify my help, because these entrepreneurs, and I think most entrepreneurs, have a huge impact and influence in terms of employees, clients, suppliers, communities. Many of them are influencers. So in my view, entrepreneurs are a huge reach to society in many ways. So if I can really help these entrepreneurs transition and navigate burnouts, get stuck in whatever they want to do, or have just a better life and becoming their best selves, I think that help can amplify it to their communities.
And how do you do that? How do you avoid burnout? How do you get an entrepreneur in the right mind state to reach these levels of success that you've been able to create in your own businesses?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've been studying and practicing high performance in the past 15 years. I think I have done everything that could be done wrong. So I've learned in the hard way. Imagine that in the Argentinian company, we were selling $10 million a year, and almost overnight, we lost 50% of the sales because of like a technical problem that we couldn't solve, it, like an external technical problem. We got some IPs got banned, whatever, and we really lost that. And we had to downsize the company from 140 to 40 in like a couple of months. That was extremely stressful, like one of the worst times in my life.
How did you get through that?
So I got really I got really close to biohacking. You know, biohacking is basically a way to hack or a way to learn and improve yourself, your cognitive abilities, your spirituality, like through meditation, your digestion, your training abilities, your sleep, basically trying to master your body to become a high performer. So the way I've approached all the burnouts, and of course, I think nobody can say that has mastered it completely, because anyone that is trying to push a business, like moving countries or doing something impactful, is gonna get a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and a lot of fears. So I think it's gonna be an ongoing trajectory for anyone throughout the whole life. But I've seen the improvements, and I think there's different ways of seeing it. First, you have to check your physical health. What are you eating? What are you drinking? Like, for example, intoxicants, alcohol, recreational drugs, processed sugar. There's so many things that are affecting our day-to-day that nutrition is super important. Then sleep. I've been studying sleep for the past 10 years, and I had insomnia. I was sleeping like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours a day. I woke up in the middle of the night, like working, like preparing the next meeting, or afraid of, I don't know, a big problem in a company. So the past 10 years, I've been focusing on mastering the sleep. I got this Aura ring that tells you all the data every day, so it's very important. Then meditation. I've been very hard in meditation for the past 10 years. I've done many things, and I've done also the hard road, because it's super difficult to meditate every day. Like I'm just so fed up of people saying like, oh, you just see it every day, you connect with yourself. There's so many, like such people that can maintain that for 3 years or for 1 year. Because you can meditate for one month or like 2 weeks because you're motivated and you're in this meditation, right? But maintaining that practice disciplined over the course of years, that's what I want to master. So I've been studying meditation a lot. And then mental health, like how much are you putting to yourself in extreme situations without recovery?
Dive in a little deeper about what you mean without recovery.
Yeah, exactly. So like the other day I went to a conference with the Wim Hofman team. The Wim Hofman is the guy that's doing the breathing and the ice cold baths, for the ones that don't know. And his right hand told me, you know, athletes like very high-end athletes are great, really know how to compete in high performance, but they also know how to master recovery. You know, they take like 1 or 2 weeks, I don't know exactly, but after a huge race, they take a whole week of recovery and they do ice baths and they go to therapies and they do stretching. I don't know, I don't know the techniques, right? But they have a huge focus on recovery. And entrepreneurs are effing terrible at recovery. It's like
so bad.
Hustle, do it, push it. You're the best. You're like pump those numbers, sell more, like conquer another country, whatever. We're so good at motivation, pushing ourselves, breaking limits, pushing boundaries. But when does recovery come? And our body and our mind is the single most important asset that we have. There's nothing better. Because if you die or if you're in bed, nothing is going to help you. Nothing. No money, nothing. You need yourself. And of course, this might sound like very simple, like if you sure. But then I would challenge you, whoever is listening to, like, are you really taking care of yourself? So like, I think that the most meta concept of burnout might sound cliche or simple, but this is one of the greatest hacks, is how much are you taking care of yourself? Yeah, you know, like everyone talks about this, and you're having like walking breaks and sleep a little better and take a tea that's going to make you sleep better, whatever. But like the true question is like, how much are you taking care of yourself? How much are you pushing yourself, knowing that you just can't do it and you shouldn't do it? Not because I think that most entrepreneurs know how to push boundaries, but only few know when to stop or how to recover.
How do you know? How do you know when to recover?
So as I told you, I learned the hard way. I learned, for example, right now, I have tinnitus. That is the buzzing, the on the ear, because so much stress. My partner also had it, and I've had that for the past 4 years. And I think it's almost like for a lifetime. So you have to learn how to do it. And that was because after that huge crash we had of the company, we had to downsize, and it was crazy. So basically, how do you know is if you don't have the experience of burning out or feeling physical discomfort, then you should check the basic things in life. How much are you sleeping? Are you sleeping 7 or 8 hours a day? How do you feel in the morning? Do you feel motivated? Do you feel energetic? Do you feel a crush? How do you feel inside your heart, soul, however you want to call it? Do you feel happy? Because like most of entrepreneurs I know are crushing in financials and growth and sales, but when you talk deeply, they're like, there's something missing, you know, I'm just happy. Or like, how are your relationships? How's the relationship with your spouse, with girlfriend, boyfriend? Like, is it deep? Are you having enough quality time? Is it breaking apart? How is your relaxation times? Are you having fun? Are you having fun in life? Are you enjoying life?
Yeah.
If I ask you, do you love your life? Because I know that this might sound like woo-woo concepts, but it all comes down to whatever you're doing. Are you liking your life? Are you liking what you are? You happy? I'm not talking about this happiness extreme concept that has been sold for our like millennials and Z generation, that you have to be happy every day, and happiness is because I've been chasing happiness for long. But then when you get to a better understanding of happiness, happiness is not like being happy every single day, smiling and loving everything. Yeah, sure, you can have those blissful moments, but happiness also is enjoying a true and deep relationship bond, like a walk with your friend, or a good concert with your spouse. That's or spending time with your baby, and undivided attention, and being really present. So burnout is a very complex topics, because people feel burnout when they are burnout, when you're wrecked. It's very easy to say, look, I'm done. I'm like almost depressed. I mean, I have a huge insomnia. I have a terrible heartburn, because like the mind and the body gives you a lot of inputs. You start getting a heartburn. You start having headaches. You start having like very low motivation in the morning, or like you just want to go home and you don't want to do the extra meeting, or you're with friends and family and you're not present because you're scrolling on the cell phone, or you're like, or you are with the kids and they're trying to play with you and say, hey, daddy, it's been long, I didn't see you today. And you're like, I can't do it. I want to do it, but I can't do it. Or if your mother calls you and you're like, it's been like 3 minutes and you didn't tell me, like, so it's super complex, because we live in, especially in the Western world, we live in a society that is pushing you all the time for production. Do more, produce more, sell more, grow, spend, and push yourself. And we become really good at production.
Yeah.
Because we build like cool stuff, to be honest, in the past decades. But I think that the ratio between production and recovery, or recovery meaning taking care of ourselves, and taking care of ourselves is not a hippie woo-woo concept. Is do you want to crush your goals for the next 30 years? Because this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Like, because for example, I'm 38. I started my my professional career when I was 21 after college, and I know how to go freaking full speed, like get crazy about it. I know I can crush any goal. But now with some way more experience, I'm like, do I really want to pay the cost? Is this sustainable? So that's why the main topic that I work with is sustainable high performance. Because you know how, I mean, if you, it's like the car, you know how to like press the pedal and go like full speed in first gear. But eventually, if you do it like more than 10 minutes, you're going to blow up the engine. And it's very obvious with machines. It's very obvious that you can't run a computer at max speed, because it overheats and it will just crash. But the human body and the human mind is so powerful that limits are not so clear. Because I managed like huge, at least like 80, 100 people sales teams. So I'm like, I love motivation and pushing people and breaking boundaries. And what you learn with that is that the human body and mind and nature has huge capabilities if you push it and do more and do more, and eventually you find the motivation and drive to just keep going and doing it. So I'm very big on perseverance and just freaking stick with it and never stop. The problem is that most people are not talking about what's coming with that. And that's why it's not sustainable. And that's why we have so many young people with such huge anxiety levels, mental health issues. Like there's a huge epidemic of mental health in entrepreneurs because they get like huge VC funds with huge investments. They raise, they build teams, hundreds of people, thousands of people. They are in 50 countries in 2 years. But like if you put a magnifier over those lives or over those people, then what do you see apart from the meetings? And how much time can you do? And I'm talking about the whole population, right? If there's one overperformer, like, I don't know, Elon Musk, that can do like 20 companies at a time, sure. Still, even though I have a huge respect for Elon Musk, I would like to see with a magnifying glass his whole life, like, or ask him, like, are you truly happy? Like,
and if you see interviews, it doesn't seem like it.
He says, right? he's suffering. Sure, he has a huge goal, and he's being able to for now to achieve it. So huge respect, and of course, it's our.
But is it worth it?
Is it worth it? And sure, if for him he can, I don't know, conquer Mars, whatever, maybe it's work for him. Sure, I know he's an outlier, But for most people, for most entrepreneurs and executives, like, is it really worth it the way you're pushing yourself? So my study is how can we push ourselves in a sustainable way? Because on the other side, I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to be like, we shouldn't push that much. We should be like relaxed. I don't care about income. Well, it's not I don't care, but like I'm okay of like having a low income. Sure, no, not at all. But what I know is that the rhythm that I've been living my life, like partying, like working, traveling around the world, everything is not sustainable for the next decades. And if I want to be the best father for my future children, or the best relative, or the best spouse to my fiance, this is not sustainable. And I haven't seen many sustainable cases. You can run that fast for 5 years, maybe, and you're gonna feel like shit, to be honest. Because if you drink, if you go out, if you don't sleep, like it's very obvious when you start looking at those topics and how you feel and how stressed you are, you know, the black things below your eyes. So
it's tough, right? Because, you know, I think a lot of business owners are in this state where they're trying to build a proof of concept, right? They have an idea, they're trying to make it work, they're going all in on it. So what I think a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know I feel that myself this way, is, all right, yeah, buddy, it's so great, I'd love to recover. I don't have the luxury to do that because I have put so much into my business. I'm just trying to make sure I can keep the lights on. And if I'm not working, then I won't have the ability to get to the point that it can sustain me. And then I'm really gonna burn out.
yeah.
So how do you push through burnout when you have deadlines that you need to work to be able to hit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the MVP, the minimum viable product, the lean startup, and the proof of concept many times in my life. So I understand, especially in the beginning, you don't have teams, you don't have systems. It's like the solopreneur fabulous where you're by yourself. So I get what you're saying. I've been there like many times. And I love starting new companies. So there's some thrill of that. So there's two sides of this question. First is recognizing and really internalizing that you are your most important asset. If you fuck yourself up, there's no B plan. So because like we're all thinking, especially I think you're way younger than me. So how old are you, Jaxon?
26.
26, sure. So I started going pedal to the metal at your age. So I was like, I'm young, bro. Like I can get it. I went to party like Thursday, Saturday, got super drunk, then went to the meeting. Like I'm invincible. But as we're talking to a broader audience, what we need to think is that eventually you're gonna get wrecked because there's some limitations. Sure, some mind or most mind limitations, yes, you can do breakthroughs and like think bigger, but the body has a limitation. And the way you can upgrade that limitation is by taking care of yourself, eating better, like the whole program, right? Eating better, hydration, sunlight, sleeping better, taking care of yourself, knowing when to stop, because you're going to find that you can perform even better that way.
Yeah.
Imagine, I know, you have a car and you want to do Uber or like a taxi. You can be going at like 150 miles, 24 hours a day. Like with a car, it's very simple to see. You need to stop, like the engine's gonna overheat or whatever technical stuff you want to say. Like the brakes won't take it. You need to stop, like the pit stop. So, for example, one of the most impactful analogies that one of my therapists gave me was, you're trying to run, and she told me, you're trying to run a Formula One race. You want to be a Formula One driver or car, whatever you call it. Have you seen how many mechanics processes has an F1 car has? Pit stops in one race. The amount of money that is put towards that car, so that car can go like, I don't know, 200 miles an hour, 300 miles an hour for, I don't know, 4 hours, and like just general numbers. It's not normal. And we think we want to, most people that I've seen, including myself in the past, we want to run that F1 race by just eating like anyone does, going out, not sleeping so much, hustling 24 hours a day, working 7 days a week. It's not sustainable. And then when you learn about taking care of yourself, even when you have these deadlines, you start seeing how you meet those deadlines in a better way. Because you think more clear, and instead of doing 3 meetings, you need only one to solve the same problem. It's a little bit related to what they say about meditation, that they say that if you don't have time for meditation, that's the time when you need it the most, because it's going to make you time. So sure, if you're young, if you feel healthy, you can really push it. Like, I don't know, when you're 18, I always make this joke that you can have a vodka for breakfast and you're gonna be okay. You're freaking invincible when you're 18. Like, your body, we don't know, like most of us don't know how incredible is our body when we're 18 until we are like 25, 35. Like, oh,
and it just starts getting a little harder.
Like, so sure, it comes on two sides. One, a deep understanding that you're your most valuable asset, and if you don't take care of yourself, you're gonna wreck everything around your life: friends, family, business, sales meetings, even cash. You're gonna have, I don't know, maybe cash flow problems because you're starting to deal with a lot of money, a lot of influx, and you're not thinking straight, and then you start making mistakes. You do a payment that you shouldn't do. You forget about a tax, whatever. It's not sustainable. So of course, in the beginning, talking more about the MVP phase, you need to try to build systems and put people in place with as low budget as you can afford. And nowadays, we're in 2022, you can build a huge, a multinational company with less than $1,000 in the beginning, right? Like, and this is a proof of concept. There's so many SaaS, software as a service, that you can plug in to your company, like accountants, like Shopify, ads manager, social media. There's so much automation, and those apps usually cost like, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, $40. So if you have like a couple of $1,000 in your bank for your company, you can start automating as much as you can from the system side, so that you don't have to do everything by yourself. So in the past, we used to use a lot of Google Docs to do a lot of spreadsheets. Now you have a lot of apps that do those, let's say, accounting things online. And then if you don't have the money to employ full-time employees in the beginning because you didn't raise funds, let's say, nowadays, especially after the pandemic, there's such a huge market for freelancers, and you, because of your age, know way better this system, where, especially being in the US, you can arbitrage the hour cost around the world. So for example, I'm from Argentina. Argentina has a very shitty exchange rate. So it's very beneficial for both parties to work with Argentinian employees and freelancers, like contractors, because people in Argentina are going to be extremely happy to have a US partner or employer, not as a regular employee, but as a contractor, because they get paid in dollars, and that goes
worth way more,
like 5 times more in their country. So they can improve their current status, and then the US can have an extremely talented, because Argentina has incredible talent, like top-notch talent in Latin America and sometimes in the world, with a fraction of the price, with a third, a fourth, or a fifth of the money you would spend here. And even
so being someone from Argentina, how would you recommend someone from the United States takes advantage of hiring someone? Like, what would the process go to find someone that they can trust, that's reputable, that's going to get the job done, and be a good bang for their buck? Like, what recommendations would you
Absolutely. So the easiest way when entrepreneurs are starting is to go to the marketplaces like Fiverr, Upwork, Workana. There's so many nowadays, and it's like, I don't know, like an eBay of gigs, services, and people offering themselves to do a BA or video editing or whatever you want. And on the other side, like in Upwork, there's people that are offering their job position. So like, hey, I'm starting my coaching business, I need an assistant for this. So people apply. So even with Fiverr and Upwork, you're accessing the whole world. And you're gonna see like different hour prices. Like for example, now if you want a virtual assistant that it's like very famous nowadays, the big thing is to hire someone in Philippines because they have very good English speaking capabilities. They're super well trained in VA responsibilities, and they range between $4 to $10 an hour, and you pay by the hour. So the good thing about this, what I call the plug and play economy, where you plug and play like Shopify, the ads, some more SaaS, you can also plug and play hours of people, of different freelancers and contractors, so that you don't need to pay a lot of salaries or cost in the beginning, because you're hustling, and you're starting from scratch with people that are helping you by the hour. So maybe you need only 1 hour a day, but that's going to make you a huge difference with being an entrepreneur with no employees. So that's the entrepreneurial part, where you can really focus, and that's what I do nowadays. I don't start any business without thinking like, who's going to help me? And maybe even if I don't have a huge fund to start this new business, it's like, what systems and freelancers, if I can't employ full-time employees, do I have, so I don't get crazy? Because you know how it is. In the beginning, when you don't have clients, you're building everything by yourself, and it's fun, and you're like, oh, it's really nice. But once things get going and you start getting clients, and you have getting like problems and accounts receivable, it's huge. So yeah, having the systems and freelancers in place, it's very cost effective in the beginning when you're hustling, and can help you take care of yourself. The other side is have to take care of your mind, body, and if you want, spirit. So if you neglect your body and your mind, you're gonna pay huge bills. And by the time you get older, you're gonna see you see even more, because you're like, oh, now I went out on a Thursday night and I got crazy, and now Friday is like very difficult. Very difficult. So you either learn the hard way or start taking care of yourself responsibly, because you're gonna perform better. So you're gonna be gaining time. And the third one is, we have to cultivate self-awareness. And sometimes I still say to myself, when I don't know, after 8, 9, 10 hours of like deep working, I know I can continue like 2 to 5 hours more. But sometimes I've been able to stop and say, this is not sustainable. I'm gonna get wrecked. I'm gonna end up at the middle of the night, like at midnight, with the screens. I'm gonna get all groggy. I'm not gonna be my best partner with my fiance. My sleep's gonna get wrecked. Tomorrow I'm not gonna be productive. So I had a huge day today, but then tomorrow I'm like half-brained. And you cannot afford to be like half-brained. Being an entrepreneur, you have so many responsibilities. You're talking to clients, to employees. You're managing money, it's a company, legal stuff. So that's why I say you can do it for some years, and eventually you can get away until systems start failing. You know, an organ fails, or you get an allergy, or you're getting a little bit depressed or anxious. But once you start taking care of yourself and put yourself in the spotlight and say, I am my best investment. You start, and when you see that, you start investing money in yourself, like with the best food that you can afford, with the best supplements you can afford, with the best doctors you can afford, with the best coaches you can afford, with the best, wearables and technology you can afford, you start to feel like, feeling like superpowers. Because in comparison to when you were not taking care of yourself and you felt wrecked, you're like, wow, this is way better. So
do you take nootropics?
I sometimes take nootropics. I have experienced differently. I cannot share. I mean, I can say what I do for myself, but I'm not allowed to prescribe, because I'm not a doctor. But I work with doctors. So part of my plan is I'm associated with doctors, with functional doctors and biohackers and endocrinologists that also do a full blood assessment and hormone panel, so that they can recommend the right supplements for you as an entrepreneur. But yeah, personally, well, here I have one. It's called Alpha GPC. It's a glycerolfocolin, so basically choline. That is also a brain enhancer. I tried modafinil.
I love modafinil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also, you have to learn how to take it, because I take a very small dose sometimes, because I get a little bit jittery. If I get like, I don't know, like 100 milligrams, I already get the jitters, and I get overstressed. And then I see that even though I can produce more, then I'm wrecked. This, I don't like to be in that overdrive and over stress. So I have to be very careful, because I'm a little bit sensitive to that. And yeah, then there's like, I take a lot of like mushrooms like chaga, reishi, cordyceps, lion's mane is really good as an nootropic. So yeah, I've been researching and experimenting with supplements a lot the past years.
So after building multiple successful businesses, what is the most underrated strategy you've used to get that success?
Well, for sure, the first one is investing in yourself more than investing in anything else, but we already covered that. Because I want to stress this, because most people don't do it. Most people think that they have to invest in the business, and they hire like the best consultants, whatever they can hire for the business, but they don't have good coaches, they don't have the good doctors, they don't have good therapists. So first one would be, invest as much in you as you can in yourself. You are your most important asset, and you're going to have the highest ROI in your life, and it's going to be compounded, because each thing that you adopt and you get to your body or mind is compounded to the past things. So everything's growing, like not geometrically, but more like compounded, and on the long run exponentially. So that would be the first. Invest in yourself. I don't know, take courses, have a coach, go to a nutritionist, whatever you can do to upgrade yourself, because you're going to see the impact, and not in your business, in your relationships, in sports, in your happiness, in fun, in relaxation, in the way you just feel after waking up or after a good night's sleep. So that would be the first one. And the second one, luckily, because we are in this year and we have the ability to try the concept of a worldwide company with less than $1,000. That was not possible, like, I don't know, 20 years ago. My parents couldn't say, hey, I have an idea, let's try to ship stickers in Eastern Europe. They couldn't do an MVP. They couldn't do buy a product, a proof of concept with a couple of $100 in 1 month to try the idea. They had to, I don't know, like have a factory and have a distribution channels, and then they had to see how to sell it. So it was a huge investment. So many mistakes that I've seen from entrepreneurs is that they get so crazy about the product or the system, what they want to build, and then they spend so much time without interacting to potential customers, until maybe it's a little too late, they're burnt out, or they're spent too much and they haven't nailed the product. So I really love the MVP idea, that you start very small with the smallest version possible. They say that if you're not ashamed on the day you launch, then you launch too late. You took too,
Interesting.
Yeah. So in the beginning, it's gonna be shitty, but don't worry. Like, people know, potential customers know that you're starting. So you have more of a range to be accepted. You don't accept that from Apple or Uber. If your iPhone comes and it's like in a beta version, you're like, what the heck, like, you're Apple. This is not acceptable. But if your brother is starting next week to try an idea, he can fail so much, and people are going to be like, it's all good. He's starting. So that's, for me, it's like a golden opportunity to try, experiment, and iterate with the market's feedback. Many people are missing the market's feedback, and they're like, they have this huge idea because they're super motivated and they love it. I have this product, this idea, this system, and it's going to help so many people, and they build it and get raise funds, but they're lacking of early stage potential client or actual client interaction. So in the beginning, it's what's very important, and luckily it's this way and not the other way around. You don't need much money. You only need to talk and maybe to offer that service or product to some of your most consistent avatars, the people that you think you're going to help with, and listen, see what they like. Because most of the times you're going, especially in the beginning, you're going to be wrong. And this means, and you're big in social media. One of the things that social media taught me, and like imagine that having this huge company in Argentina, we had we had fan page that like our Facebook fan page when in the 2010 it was a thing. We had like 1 million fans or likes, whatever. And one thing that taught me, like playing a little bit with that, is that you don't know what people are gonna like. You see with the
100%. I talk about that with social media all the time, right? Even with my TikTok, right? So like look at Passion Toolbox. I've gone viral at this point about 300 times. My content alone just on my TikTok has over 100 million views. On the internet, about 300 million. The last 3 videos I posted all flopped. Why? Who knows?
There you go.
It's that we're playing a probability game, right? I did the exact same thing on the video that got 1,000, on the video that got 8 million. Exact same process, right? But what I understand and what keeps me from letting that affect me emotionally is I have the ability to zoom out and understand the probability of what's happening, which is I know 1 out of 10 of my posts is going to go viral. I know another 3 are going to do all right. Maybe 1 or 2 do and then the rest are going to flop, right? And so when I look at that, I might have 3 or 4 in a row that flop, but I'm going, cool, I'm just getting the 3, 4 out of the way that are going to flop. Law of averages is going to play in, and the next ones are going to perform well. And I'm able to separate myself from the emotional state that gets created from the outcome, because you're not always in control of that. It's like trying to guess what someone's favorite food is. You know, I could guess all day, or I could see what you're eating, right? Once I give it to you and you eat the whole plate, I'm going to give you more of that. But you might want waffles today. You might not want waffles tomorrow, right? So I'm going to keep giving you waffles until you don't like it. But, you know, then I have to go back to the drawing board. And sometimes that happens with content. And I think people get very dismayed when they don't just consistently go at an upward trajectory. But that's only becoming harder and harder as more content creators, join these platforms. They become more saturated. Then the platforms themselves start running more ads, which means they start suppressing organic, so you'll pay for the reach. And it's just the life cycle of these platforms. Content that would perform well a year ago might not perform today because there's 100 more people making the same exact type of videos and they're better than you. Versus before, if you got in early, you could get away with that, right? So that's why I've been focused on upping my production quality, identifying who I'm speaking to more, finding ways to create relationships, get other impacts other than just views and followers from that content. And these are the things that long term are going to make the biggest difference. The biggest switch I made on my social media channel over the last 6 months is I stopped viewing it as a lead generation strategy and I started viewing it as a networking strategy. And that pivot has allowed me to tour stadiums with the Backstreet Boys, go to, multi-million-dollar mansions for free. I was on Cuban televisions. I've done a bunch of really cool stuff. And that all came from knowing the right person, right? Meanwhile, I've had videos that have 150 million views on the internet between all the platforms they're on, and that did nothing for my career. It did something in the fact that I can say I did that, but the direct impact of it isn't measurable. Versus I've had posts that get 1,000 views, but it gets seen by the right person who becomes an asset in my network. And that person in my network pays dividends way higher than getting, 1 million views on a video did. Right.
So I think that the oversaturation of content creators and platforms is aiming towards quality and not quantity, because quantity is more than there. So
there's depth and there's width, right? Width is how many views you get. At first, that created depth because it was scarce. But in a world where everyone goes viral, virality no longer makes the same impact it did. Yeah. Because everyone is. When everyone is, no one is. So at that point, it is no longer about how many views or followers I have. It is now about how did this content impact the people that I want to connect with. And that might not show in the analytics. You might have 700 views on a video, but it speaks to a very specific person that sees it, and then they join your network and they get you a $7,000 client.
Yeah. What happened inside their hearts when they saw that post?
Yeah. Or you don't know where that relationship can lead. Great example. I interviewed a guy on my podcast back when I first started this. And I literally had like a Patreon at the time. Interviewed him, blasted out to like 5 people. Nothing really came of it, but it was good. I was just getting started, getting my, feet wet. 6 months later, he hits me up and he goes, "Hey, I have this company that's looking to add more creators to do brand deals. Are you interested?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." That deal made me $25,000 over a year and a half.
Yeah, boom.
From something that seemingly didn't work out because it wasn't viral, right? But that's what these do. That's the reason I have these conversations. It's so much deeper than getting a viral clip. It's about having a medium that gives the person I'm talking to incentive to have a conversation with me. And then that conversation allows me to develop a relationship that can pay dividends for the rest of my career. And then you're able to plant these seeds, interview after interview after interview, and build these really rich networks and these referral bases and credibility. If you have a conversation with me and I impress you, or we have a conversation and we get a clip that you now put on your profile, you are now vouching for me. You are now co-signing my brand. So any credibility you've spent the last 20 years building now gets put onto my brand.
Yeah, like an endorsement.
So the whole strategy of when I work with clients is implementing this strategy. It's called the Dream 100 strategy. You have these interviews with people that are already authority in your network. You take that long form content and chop it up into short form media that you can now distribute on TikTok and Reels and Shorts and LinkedIn and Reddit and Pinterest and all these platforms. You're now playing the numbers game, because from this exact conversation, there might be 3 to 5 clips we can use.
Yeah.
We're going to take those 3 to 5 clips, put them on 7 different platforms. We just made 20 pieces of content. Now from there, the law of averages comes into play. If you know how to chop this content up properly, you can get the chances of it hitting from like less than 1% up to 10%. Well, if the chances of this content hitting is at 10% and I get 20 clips from this video, at least one of them is going to perform well.
Done.
And if not, one of them are inevitably going to perform well when I'm doing this at least once a week.
Yeah.
So the whole system that I'm helping entrepreneurs like yourself put in place is the system to systematically build these interviews, or to book these interviews, what questions to ask to increase the chances of virality, and then how to chop it up effectively to create long form exposure from that content. Then from there, as soon as you have one video that works, or if you already have credibility, it becomes very easy to line up future interviews because you have something to show the person you're reaching out to. Then from there, it's like sales. It's just a numbers game. If I'm reaching out to 5 people a day that are credible, at least one of those people is going to be down to talk. Get them on my Zoom calendar. Easy as that. Send them a calendar link. How many high-level business owners are relying on Google Calendars and Zoom and these platforms where they wake up and they just go, "What is my calendar?"
Yeah.
So how hard would it be for them to just add something like this into their day? Not that hard. Right? They have to go do this stuff anyways, with or without you. They have to go create their own content.
Yep.
They have to go get their own distribution. They have to go get their own other platforms promoting them.
And there's so many content ways that you can do, right? It's not like, you know that this kind of content is the one that has one of the highest ROIs, but then you could do so many, so like even TikTok dances. I don't know, like there's so many things that you could do in terms of content, but you know which kind of content out of those like millions of type of contents is the one that helps them the most.
And that's where you talk about feedback, right? Having your minimum viable product. Right now, my product I call the Organic Growth Accelerator is a program where I charge $2,500 for people to work with me once a week to map out their content strategy for the week and build out their organic marketing order operations over 90 days, right? So within that program, the feedback I've got, because I could go so deep on this, my plan is to build out courses, teach all the techniques, have, just basically building out a very comprehensive back-end infrastructure. But right now, since I'm just building this, I'm in the customer acquisition phase.
Yeah.
Like my goal for this month is simply get 5 clients, right? So I'm doing anything and everything I can to get those clients in the door, because that will now give me the seed capital I need to be comfortable spending $100 a day in ads, to invest in that data, to figure out the tweaks I need for my business, right? But in the meantime, when I look at that, like what can really speed this process up the quicker? It's knowing the right people. One of the clients I'm working with right now is because I got him from a referral from someone I'm working with, right? So when you're doing these calls, not only are you able to get access to their audience that they've already built trust and credibility with, but now you're able to develop a relationship with the person you're having a conversation with that can turn into referrals.
Word of mouth.
And now you can be strategic about interviewing people you want to turn into a client.
Yeah.
Right? And so this approach goes so much deeper than just, hey, come on my podcast and let's hope it goes viral on YouTube. Yeah. It's not going to go viral on YouTube. No one knows who the fuck you are. And the chances of your podcast just breaking out of nowhere are so little, because we don't watch podcasts that have 57 views.
Yeah.
Right? I could go post this tomorrow, and even if there's gems in this, it's going to flop. But if I take this video and I chop it up into all the best pieces as a 10-minute video, it might do all right. But then when I take that and chop it up even further into short form content, and then when you take this and you're now blasting it on your social media because I posted it and tagged you, it starts to create this exponential effect, right? It's kind of like the analogy I use. It's like crabbing, right? Like if you're a crab fisherman and you want to catch more crab, how do you do it? You drop more cages. The more cages you drop in the ocean, the more chances you are to catch a crab, right? We'll find ways to drop them in better spots, but at the end of the day, the more you drop, the more you catch, right? And that's what's so beautiful about this system, is it allows high-level business owners to create a very streamlined process of content creation where they're getting promoted by the people that already have an audience of their target demo that likes and trusts them. And now when that person sees your ad or gets referred to you by someone, and they go to your Instagram to vet you before deciding to work with you, like we all do, they're going to see all these people that they follow you and have had conversations with you. And you might simply line up a client because they're a big fan of someone else you've talked to.
Yeah.
And you see that.
You have the relation. You have the relation.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like the number one guy now is Gary Vee. When you see someone went with Gary Vee, it's an automatic authority build. It's like, oh, okay, he got access to Airbnb.
Yeah, and I use that strategy. I read it in a book called Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. But you see the same thing in other industries, right? What happens to an artist the moment they get a feature from Drake? Their career changes. Why? Because they're like, oh, if Drake is co-signing him, they must be fired.
It's
right?
An endorsement.
It's the same thing in business. If you're in the insurance business and the top insurance agent in, all of the United States is promoting you, that looks good to other insurance agents, which means you can line them up on the podcast, right? It works no matter what your vertical is. And people see that and they go, well, isn't that person competing with me, right? Like if I'm interviewing other marketers, aren't I competing with them? No. Why? Because now anything I learn from that person, I can now tell to my audience, and I'm able to leverage their entire career's credibility. I can take a marketing strategy that I learned from some other marketing company, and when I chop up that video and I tell that marketing idea that the other person is saying on the call on my channel, and I throw a call to action at the end, those people are coming to me. They're not going to them. Now, some might that I don't see, but at the end of the day, they're going to go to the channel that they got the content from.
Yeah.
And it comes up with other clients later. You might have a question your client has. You'd be like, oh, that's actually, I have a great answer for this. Watch this video I made with this big ass marketer that has an 8-figure agency. Right? And you're able to get a bird's eye view of everything that's worked and everything that's working at the highest level. The reason why I'm such a good marketer is because I interview all the top marketing people. And I take all their strategies, use all their data, and congregate it all to improving my strategy.
Yeah. Do you edit the videos also for your clients?
So that's something I'm considering. As of right now, no. But I could definitely bring in in-house editors. And that's something I'm considering doing, and then maybe just charging a lot more.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm doing a beta round, 2,500 for 5 clients. I'm currently working with 3. One of the guys I was talking to earlier today wants to work with me. So assuming his payment goes through by Thursday when we have our first meeting scheduled, that'll be 4.
Yeah.
And then my plan is I want to move into kind of like a group style coaching, kind of like what AIA has.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it, and it's like I read that book, $100 Million Offer by Alex Ramosi, and he talks about like, how do you make an offer that's really valuable? He's like, you close the time frame of how quickly they can get results with, and also you close the time on how much effort they have to put in.
Yeah.
The current problem with what I do and how I help businesses is it's time intensive. Yeah. It takes a lot of fucking effort to make good organic content. Yeah. And you got to grind consistently. So how can I offset that? How can I really solve that problem for clients and start getting them results as quick as possible? Well, the answer is the Dream 100 strategy, right? Because every single client is doing what I'm doing, right? Like I'll share my screen real quick. Yeah. This is my calendar, right? It's pretty packed, right? I have a lot going on, right? Yeah. So for someone to be like, yo, can you help me out? Or yo, can I, you want to make content? It's like, all right, well, where can I fit it in?
Yeah.
Right? But if I pop up on my schedule, like we had today, like I completely forgot we had our call today, right? Because we set this up like last week. Yeah. Right? But I come in and I go, okay, I have that call at 1. It's an interview. I'll make sure I'm set up on my computer with a mic and a headphone set that is already there for the other 3 sales calls I did earlier. Yeah. It's seamless integration.
Yeah.
And then the moment this is done, it's going to upload a copy of it to the cloud. And I could have that link get automatically sent to an editor.
Yeah.
Who can then chop it up. And if they understand how to make this content, they could just go do all the work for them.
Especially because I think that, sorry to interrupt you, but I think that many entrepreneurs are going to value, one thing is to have the content and the other one is the edition. And then you have the knowledge of what kind of edition works, the subtitles, captions, emojis, like the transitions, and that's not obvious. That's maybe obvious for you because you've been in this game for so long.
No, it takes a lot of work. But I've made thousands of videos to get good at that.
Exactly. So I think that would be very, very valuable for entrepreneurs to say, like, give me this shit. Like, you already know how to do this. I don't know how to do it.
How much do you think I could, if I set it up to where I had a VA that booked these appointments for them on their calendar, and then I had a guy on the back end that takes that and chops it up, how much could I charge for something like that? Because I don't really know, because it depends on who you're working with. With a high-level consultant that has a busy packed calendar, someone like Justin, where he's got, he's bringing in 40 grand a week, he's running a business, he doesn't have a lot of time to make content. Yeah. To add just a 1-hour Zoom call once a week would be the perfect solution for him. And I could see someone like that being willing to invest 10 grand to do that right. But I don't really know, like, what is this worth to someone? Going
back to the MVP idea is that in the beginning, you only need 1 or 2 clients and you can charge your cost only. But you don't go at loss and see where's the actual value. Because you need to see, like, that's what I try to preach. Don't try to solve every problem from your head, because the market, the clients and the feedback are going to tell you way more than you know. And it's very easy to try nowadays. So same as Justin said last time, if coaches are not getting clients, just lower your price, talk to people, get your shit together, know where's your superpower, and then start building up. So luckily, you can, as you said, have you got a VA right now?
No, I'm the one-man show.
Okay, so right now I'm hiring a VA from Philippines. There's a company called Try Pineapple. It's called Pineapple, but the website is trypineapple.com, and it's great because it's like an HR company. It's an American company, but it has all the structure in the Philippines, and they have HR consultants that they source and train the VA for you. So once you hire, and it's a $8 an hour flat rate. So it's super convenient, and it can help you
do what?
VA, like admin,
Yeah.
client,
Yeah.
calendar, email stuff, and they also do basic video editing. I don't know
Mm.
which are their capabilities, but they're doing, they promote video editing, so it's not a side
Yeah.
thing. They must have. So I'm hiring like two people of Philippines to start helping me with this new coaching business. So I would recommend you set up the smallest and easiest team that you can do to get this editing done, so that you offer that for the client. See how much it costs you, and then I don't know, charge double. I know if it costs $200 for you, I'm just inventing numbers. Charge 300, 400 more, like, because you want to see what happens with the client. If it's a game changer, if it's like the actual value, because maybe you, and this is not a real example, but maybe what you see is that entrepreneurs know how to do content, but they fail at editing. So maybe you see with the market that your thing is to build an editing, a very efficient and fast editing team. It's not the case, right? But that's what you get by interacting very early with the market, instead of like building a big product until you got it yourself and now you start promoting it.
So the problem with something like that is it's hard to, how do I build on like a bunch of clients, right? Like let's say my cost is 500 and I'm charging 1,000. Like, if I have 20 clients, managing 20 editors, like, and making sure that quality is there becomes very stressful versus like a group scale model, like, AIA. If I have that coaching system where it's like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday meeting one time, and I can go through and help them tweak. Like something like that seems a little more scalable. It's just trying to find that hook I use at the beginning to make them want to join the program. And that's why I think that could be a free brand audit, complimentary brand audit. I'll look at your content strategies and give you some advice. Use that to get the call, and then explain to them what the program is, which is we meet, once a week on a weekly basis, map out your content strategy for the week, and then adjust on a weekly basis. And then within that infrastructure, I can maybe add that as an upsell if they don't want to do the editing. That's what I was thinking.
For sure. I'm just guessing that most entrepreneurs are gonna like that, because then you're gonna send them the raw video with a great interview, and they're gonna be like, now what? I have a huge agenda. I don't have an editor. I don't know the captions and the things that is working. So then that very good piece of content might not be utilized and optimized in the best way for the clients, and maybe it's not gonna, I'm just guessing, right? Because you're not necessarily wrong either. And I think the tricky part becomes though, but then if I hire the editing, what's the whole point of the course? Why would I teach them what to do if I could just have someone do it for them? You know what I mean? And that's where it's like, all right, well, if I'm going to do that, then maybe the answer is just charge like 10,000 and go for high ticket clients. So what I've seen that coaches are doing, and it's there's a huge hype on this, instead of editing for you or selling or closing for you, they're teaching, and they have a coaching program to teach your editors. So they set up all the videos and calls and everything. So you bring your editor with you. Let's say you hire an editor or whatever, or a closer, and they go through your TikTok, Instagram, Rockstar course with the coaching group and everything. So they know, or maybe you even tell them, get to Fiverr, go to try Pineapple or whatever.
That's what I was thinking, is just teaching them how to find one.
I mean, that's your piece. You gotta see if you're good at teaching, if you're good at operations and building a team.
I'd say what I'm good at is strategy. I've made 4,000 videos. I have a good fundamental understanding of the practices that will increase your probability. Then from there, what's really going to determine the results is the talent of the person themselves. That really is the biggest factor. And discipline, exactly, right? So for me, it's like, it seems like it would make more sense to, because Alex Hormozi talks also about getting quick wins. The problem with this is this takes time to build. Over time, the result is going to be very valuable for your business, and it feeds in seamlessly to your other strategies, right? From running ads, referrals, networking. It's going to increase the conversion rate on everything else that you're already focused on. Right? So from a combination of that and doing this long term, that will get you your results. But I want to get them quick wins. So that's why I'm looking into things like maybe building in a shout out to as part of the package. So the moment you join, first 48 hours, we write, record, and edit a video that we then use as a shout out that's blasted through these pages that then get you a boost. Right? So something like that can just get them a quick win, gets them to trust me, and then I can really start building out their operations from there. Because the truth is, I don't care who you are. Like even someone like Justin, right? Like, yeah, his business is killing it, but what happens if his ad account gets banned or Facebook implodes and then he doesn't have that strategy anymore? Does he lose his business? I don't know. Versus if you can now hedge with organic content and using this Dream 100 strategy where you can build out your network, the implications of that are a lot deeper than just lead generation.
I think it depends on who's your avatar, who's your target audience. If it's a solopreneur that is starting and has a small company and does everything by himself, maybe, yeah, having a course on editing, basic editing, like what you do. Like I would ask you, like, hey, I've seen your videos, Passion Toolbox, they're great. How do you do it? Because I've been in social media for like decades. I'm not even close to having that, and I know a lot. But what's left to most people that are they don't know, and they get intimidated by these great social media personalities like you. Like, what can I do in this market? And then when you see, it's like, well, for example, I used to see that the captions with the highlighting, like, hey, how are you? Like, I was like, wow, there's a huge editing. And then you see that there's an app called Captions. It's $8 a month. Now the speech recognition works really well. You can highlight the words, and like in 5 minutes, you can have a pretty professional video that even cuts the silences. You know, like so like this, and you get a pretty professional video. And until I got that app through Jaxon, through AAA, I was like, how do you need to build an editing team for captions and silences and swearing?
And that's the thing. If you're doing these interviews like we're doing, you can have pre-written out questions that are created specifically to then turn into a clip. So if you do that beforehand, all you have to do is take this video like we have, right? Notice how it is. We're stacked like this, so it's pretty vertical already. You understand how to create a hook at the beginning that captures people's attention, sets them up for the video. You put in the clip itself, throw in B-roll on top of it via captions or, you know, visuals that just keep people's attention. And then you can throw a call to action at the end. That is all you need to do. You just need to do that video after video after video, get the people that you interview to repost them. And then it's just doing that over and over again. You do one of those a week, you're going to see the compound effect. That means 52 experts in your industry in 1 year of promoting you. That's going to have a deep impact on your business. I don't care how that content performs.
But for sure, I would put a section on your program to at least teach how to edit that and to get to.
But that's what I'm thinking is I want to just teach them how to do it, because if they know how to do it, they can go hire an editor, and then maybe have a section about how to hire the editor.
That depends on the entrepreneur you're working with. If it's
and that's who I'm trying to decide who to target. That's why my thought is high ticket coaches and consultants, because they're already taking these Zoom calls. It'd be super easy to integrate. They already know they need to be doing organic and likely are, but aren't necessarily the best at it. So this becomes one strategy they can implement, but I can also teach them a lot of the deeper tactics they can use to fast track that process. And I could have a section on like optimizing your Instagram profile, right? Like how to, you know, just everything you can do to get the most organically out of your platforms to increase the conversion rate and get lead gen, right? Because there's a couple of big benefits from working with me. One is the lead gen, obviously, but two is really it's going to increase the conversion rate on all your other strategies. So that's something I've considered including in my messaging to help promote it. You know what I mean? Because you're running what, $100 a day in ads. What are those people doing? They're going to your profile and they're vetting you first. Being like, is this guy worth talking to? And they're making that decision. So if I can show you how to make really high quality content and then show you how to get the people that they already like, know, and trust in that content, like it's going to make your conversion rates on your ads increase, your networking easier. Everything else is going to flow more seamlessly. And that's something that's hard to track directly and hard to see an immediate ROI on that tells you, is this worth it? But over time, the impact on that, one right person can change your career. One right person got me the ability to tour stadiums across Europe, right? So the impact could be a lot deeper than just simply going viral or getting views or getting leads from a video. It goes a lot deeper than that. It's just harder to track that. I'm trying to figure out how to position that and offer that in a way where I can do, like, ideally I want to do at least $5,000 a month high ticket group style coaching. That's really my plan. Like, I want to get to the point where I have 4 phone calls a day with qualified people and I'm selling them on a program that costs $5,000 for 90 days and that gets them results as quick as possible.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Yeah.
So I think that there's a huge fit. I think there's this, what we were talking about, the MVP and the early stage of the project, talking about with clients and potential clients are going to make you fine tune the product and see what are the pain points of those entrepreneurs. And of course, it really depends on the size of that entrepreneur. As you said, if it's high ticket coaching, then yeah, it might be probable that it's only that person with a couple of VAs and not any more people.
And this is where I think the strategy that could work really well is getting in these groups, right? How many high level coaching groups are there where they're like coaching coaches, right? There's a million of them. And they all have at least 10 to 20 members.
Yeah.
Right. So if I can get in all of these groups and just do a masterclass teaching my strategy, I can line up at least one client in each one of those classes. Right. And so that's something I'm really trying to look into deeper now, is how do I get in these classes in the first place?
Yeah.
And the answer that I've come up with is doing these interviews.
Yeah.
Gets my foot in the door, develop a relationship with the person, and then they already have a program or coach or whatever they do, or they know people that do, and they can start to refer me through their network.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where I'm really investing a lot now in creating high quality content, because that now gives me something I can show them as like, here's what I can do for you, versus, hey, I've gone viral, I'm the shit, fuck with me, you know, like. So yeah, man, I think there's definitely some gems in here. I appreciate you taking some time to chat with me. I definitely I like what you said about like viewing your body like a car, and how like, yeah, you can rev it, but like that it's gonna overheat, right? And so I think that there's some sort of angle we could take on that, where it's like, here's why you should treat your business like a Formula One car or something like that, right?
Yourself also.
Yeah.
If you imagine that we're trying to race Formula One race, like the speed and the drive that we're putting. We're not here middle, like half-assed. We're like here, like really pushing it. And what I've seen is that there's a huge analogy with racing cars. They have like constant pit stops. They change their tires. They fill up with the best gas. They have 20 mechanics. They have a whole process. That's why I have so many therapists and coaches and people that work with me, because like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, I was like, dude, I'm going to 6 therapists, like physical therapy, like my site is my shrink, like my therapist, like doctors, like masseuses, guys like acupuncture. I'm like, the fuck's wrong with me? Am I sick? With like, this is not normal. And then my therapist told me, like, of course it's not normal, because your life is not normal. Same as a Formula One race car. That's not normal. You're not going to supermarket with a Marlboro Ferrari from the Red Bull team. You're trying to race like for 4 hours at 300 miles per hour. Then for sure you're not normal. And that's why you need so many people and processes and supplements and food and sleep and devices helping you, because you want to achieve that high performance, but you need it in a sustainable way, because if not, you are crashing because you're revving the car and then the car is
and that's something I've even found, right? Like I'm in that grind mode right now. I'm doing outbound, it sucks, low dopamine type work. And I find myself, it's like I'm grabbing the Red Bull. I got a 6-pack of beer in the fridge, right? Like I'm eating candy, right? I'm doing things that feed my brain dopamine, because the task in itself, it's like almost like you're detoxing and you need like your hit, right? Because a lot of entrepreneurial work is just boring and it sucks and it's dreadful. So we fill our brains with dopamine from whatever we can, but that work isn't sustainable. You can't sustainably just drink a beer at 11 or, smoke, or like whatever it is you're doing to get that dopamine. Like that might work in the short term. That might work now while I'm 26, but if I do that for the next 20 years, at 46, I'm going to be fat. I'm going to be spacey. I'm going to, and that's what you see with a lot of people is, society, especially in America, pushes us to be high achievers, If you're not achieving above average, you're below average, right? And so all of us, especially my generation, who's been flooded with all these images of social media, have equated our self-worth to high
Quick
achievement,
success.
right? If I'm not a high achiever, I feel depressed.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not living up to my potential. And to a certain extent, I think that's a good thing. That's what drives me. That's what motivates me. It's also, like you said, it's not sustainable. So we have to learn how to biohack. We have to learn how to get good sleep. We have to find solutions like nootropics to use over things like Adderall or Ritalin. We have to find how to eat healthy. We have to find meditation, find these different things that can get us the same result, but in a way that's actually more sustainable, to continue that high level of achievement over long enough periods of time.
And that's, as you were saying about the content, that's where I come. Yes, you can do that by yourself and take decades finding your own sweet spot, or you can ask for help. So because this is, imagine like, this is different than a doctor for sure, but imagine like, eventually you can find a way to cure yourself. You start reading like, I don't know, like medical books, and you start trying treatments, and you might take 2, 3, or 4 years, and you're going to get pretty sick until you find a way to cure yourself. Or you can go to a specialized doctor that's going to coach you how to get out of that disease. Or if you go to a nutritionist that is going to coach you how to just freaking eat the right way.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to help entrepreneurs get out of this mind and not feel so alone, because what I've seen is that people are very alone, because this push and thrive and hustling get at least most of us in a very lonely place, because no one understands. Like, there are not many people that really understand you, how crazy you are to be grinding and hustling the way you're doing it. It's not normal. And
I think the difference, though, is, and this is a big piece that people have to consider, is like, do you actually love what you're doing? Because like, obviously I have days where I wake up, I'm like, oh, fuck. But I'd say most of the time, like, I can't wait to work. Like, I genuinely love what I'm doing because I know it's going to work, and I've gotten enough results to see what I can accomplish. When I did those stadium tours, it reminded me back when I was 19, putting that on a vision board and imagining one day maybe I could do that. Yeah. And when I walked out on that stage in front of 20,000 people, like, it made me really come to the realization I could do whatever I want.
Anything.
Because that at one point felt so impossible. I had no idea how I was going to do it. I spent years of ups, years of downs, debt, everything, judgment, assuming it was never going to happen. But I remember thinking back to a time when I was 19, and it was about like 6 months after I really started grinding. I reached this tipping point where this one day I literally had chills, because in my brain, in that moment, I made a decision that I was going to figure this out. And I think that moment connected somehow through quantum physics or something, I don't know, to that moment of me on stage. Yeah. And was like, yeah, it's going to happen, you know? And that deep emotional trigger in my brain forced my subconscious to go to work and start computing, how do we get there? It's like I set the coordinates in my GPS, which is like, no, we're going here. Versus I think a lot of people, they set that GPS and they start getting halfway to the destination, and then they set it to a new one. Yeah. And then to a new one, and to a new one, until they're so turned around, they're like, GPSs don't work. You don't really know where you're going. You don't really know how to get there. It's not really possible. But I could get to a specific Starbucks in China right now with GPS. If I know exactly where I'm trying to go, yeah. I can figure out a plan how to get there. And I know exactly where I want to go, and I made it defined. I want to build a $150,000 a month business, and I get there by doing a group style coaching that costs $5,000 to work with me over 90 days. And I just have to get 4 people on a call and close 1 out of 4 of those people. And then I have a system that's good at delivering that on the back end. If I can do that, that will give me enough funding that I can now invest and grow my media channels any way I want. Yeah. I can do anything in music that I want. I can create anything that I want without worrying about money. And that's specific. I know exactly how to get there, you know?
My challenge for you after so many years of entrepreneurship is because you were saying like most people don't like what they're doing. So there's two things that you can approach that. First is, what are you doing long term? Where are you going? Is it aligned to your vision, to your mission, to your core values? So that, of course, as you said, you love what you do, you love where you're going to, and that really lights up your heart. The same as in my case, I love helping entrepreneurs thrive and become their best selves in a sustainable way. And then there's the day-to-day. There's always shit. And there's a big saying from a model that is called delegate or elevate. So basically, try to see all your tasks throughout your day. And if something is elevating you, like these kind of conversations that you get uplifted and you learn a lot and you get really good bonds, freaking elevate it. Do it more. Like be there and be present. And if it's drowning you, if it's draining your energy, if you freaking hate it, find a way to delegate it. And this goes back to the first conversation that we had, that nowadays it's way more easier than decades ago to delegate in a sustainable and not so expensive way through systems, apps, or through even freelancers if you cannot find an employee. So I would challenge you and everyone that's hearing this that you're underestimating the power of your free time and not having to deal with this shit. Because you can hire someone else that is charging $5, $10, $15, or even $50 an hour. But if it's part of your cost, then it's just a part of your cost. And let's say, as they tell us in the coaching system, you can hire a settler or a closer if you don't like that process. Yeah, it's gonna maybe cost you $50 or $100 per session, but you don't have to do it. It's out of your world. And you can spend more time having these kind of things. So delegate, elevate.
That's the biggest thing I've taken away, because I look at like, what do I love doing? I love having these conversations, right? But it's going to go take me an hour to 3 hours to go through it, find what I want, chop it up, if not more.
Yeah.
Right. So if I can get a good editor on my team, I can get back 15 hours of work.
Get it out of because you know what people don't realize is that, and this is me a big nugget for everyone. You think that it takes you 3 hours to edit, but if you hate that editing, it's way more. It's a whole day that you're trashing. My biggest analogy is traffic, because traffic is a pretty big trigger for most of us. I hate traffic, standing in traffic. Do you really think that if you lose, let's say that Monday morning, you have to drive an hour and a half of shitty traffic to your office or house or meeting, do you really think that the only thing you lost is 1.5 hours? Or maybe your whole morning was trashed? Because after 1.5 hours of being in a shitty space in your car, like saying like, I don't want to be here, do you think that the only thing you lost is 1.5 hours? Or a big, let's call it big discussion with your partner, 1 hour fighting and shouting. Do you really think that you only lost 1 hour and that's it? Or are there bigger costs? So what I've seen after going with so many burnouts in shitty tasks that I don't like, what I've seen, and this once again might sound like a very simple concept, but it's not this way because people don't live by this concept, is that 1 hour is BS, is way more. Because 1 hour, let's say, of admin work that I hate admin work, for me can trash my whole day. It gets my motivation to the trash. And when I have systems or people in place that take the shit out of my desk, I thrive. If I get through a whole day without doing any admin stuff, I'm a rock star.
Wow, and think about this. When you free that task, not only are you getting that time back, but like you said, you're getting that energy back, because now you're not bogged down by that, which allows you to execute at a higher level on the shit you want to do.
Way better.
So literally delegating tasks you hate, you're improving your optimization on the other tasks.
You wouldn't imagine how much, because then shit starts to happen. So imagine a week that you don't need to do, I don't know, let's say things that you hate, editing, admin stuff, and maybe closing deals. All of those activities are nowadays available to be delegated for nothing by the hour. like something that you can pay out of your cost. So imagine a day where you can only think of the content that you want to produce and the people that you want to meet. That's it. And then of course,
that's a dream for me, right? Like for me,
nowadays,
my ideal situation is just having these conversations.
Yeah.
And then doing my classes where I can actually teach and help people, because I geek out on the strategies.
Yeah.
Part of me wanting to do that group coaching is because I actually genuinely am interested in solving these problems.
Yeah.
How do I get someone to be the top insurance agent, on TikTok? I don't know, but I'm gonna figure it out because I know the formulas work. And I know when we implement them, I get feedback from having conversations with marketers. And then I apply them to all the people I'm working with and get that feedback exponentially. Because I'm not just trying it on my own channel, I'm trying it on 10, 15, 30 different channels. And so I get real-time feedback of what works, and then you use all of that because I'm documenting everything to create more content.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a very synergistic process. It feeds itself.
Yeah.
And from that, I think that is really true, right? Like, I think that's a super valuable gem of like, not just the opportunity cost of getting that task handled, but specifically like, how does that impact how I show up in my relationship?
It's your soul.
How does that impact how I show up in my sales call later? If I have to sit here and I have to do 100 outbound messages, like, I hate doing that shit. I'm doing it because I need clients.
And
if I'm exhausted by that, now I'm coming to my meeting and I look like this on the call. Do you think that person wants to work with me?
You might not close it, or you might not do a good content because you're so drained.
Yeah.
And luckily nowadays you can delegate and elevate with not so much money. You don't need $100,000 employee a year to be able to have that, because of the arbitrage of hiring people from overseas. And basically some of your costs are in a currency that is lower in comparison to the US dollar, but your income is in one of the strongest or the strongest currency in the world.
I saw it going to Albania. I went to Albania. I felt like a king.
There you go. There you go.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And like, we're staying right on the beach for like $30 a night. We're having these like fancy dinners. It's like $10 a meal. Like, and we're at like the fancy restaurant, so it was like, I saw firsthand that arbitrage.
For example, the person that is helping me right now edit my content, my social media post, it's in Pakistan. And then she was telling me like, with 1 day of work with you, I have a third of a monthly salary, average salary here in Pakistan. I'm like, damn, that's amazing.
And you're like, I'm paying you a third of what I'd pay someone in the United
because
States.
It's true. It's not it's not gonna be the same quality of having something in the US, in freaking California with $100,000. Of course, the quality might not be exactly the same, but you might not need that. You might not need the Nike editor or the Adidas.
All I need is someone that can follow specific instructions and has fundamental editing skills.
So I spend a lot of time building these systems and then training people so that I get that shit out of my desktop. So I delegate and elevate, and then I become in this zone of genius that I can flow and I can talk in with a lot of vitality and energy. Because then I know I don't have to go.
And that energy is contagious. That's something that people say to me a lot, is they're like, your energy is contagious.
Yeah.
Because I'm genuinely passionate. I'm genuinely giving every ounce of my soul to what I do. Yeah. And people recognize that. But that doesn't mean I don't have days where I don't have that energy. And it's because of all those tasks that I could delegate bogging me down.
If you already recognize that energy, positivity, and vitality is one of your greatest assets, you need to protect it. You need to take care of it.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, I have like 30 minutes before this guy's coming over, so I got to get our set up. But thank you so much for hopping on with me, man. Like, I really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to get at least 3 videos from this that are pretty fire that we can, push on our channels and stuff.
100%. Then you send me the video also, this video?
Yeah. So I can send you a link to the recording if you want your editor to chop it up. But honestly, maybe we hop on a call with your editor and we could use this as a chance to try teaching someone how to do it. Yeah. Because I can show them what to do, and then, just train them for free, and then see what kind of videos they can make from it.
Yeah, 100%. All right, bro. Nice
Cool.
talking to you.
Yeah. Well, let's. I'll shoot me. See if your editor is available for that. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll set some time to talk later, and we'll hop on a call. I'll share the link with them, and then just kind of show them what to do.
yeah. All right.
Cool. Awesome, man. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Peace out.